Muscatine City Council will please come to order. Tonight is, of course, our September in-depth meeting. So thank you so very much for joining us in council chambers. We'll start right into tonight's agenda. We'll start with City Administrator Greg Monsager.
Would you like us to do roll call?
Yes, that's a good idea.
Okay, we'll do that. Lang.
Present.
Roby.
Present.
Bynum.
Present.
Shahade.
Present.
Nadvig. Fitzgerald.
Present.
And Lorette.
Present.
Great.
Now we can go.
Item number 2.
Item number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 2 is the bridge lighting update. In your packet, you had a memo from Mr. Jim Burns at Musco Lighting, giving a pretty thorough, detailed review of the situation to date on the bridge lighting. I think it's really speaks for itself. If you do have any questions, Mr. Burns is here tonight and can certainly answer any specific or detailed questions regarding that. I think what we have tonight in this project is another, excellent example in Muscatine of public-private partnerships. Musco has really stepped up and put us in the position we are tonight to get things back up and running with the bridge. They've gone through and completed all the conduit and rewired the bridge and put us in a position where we are tonight, with the last piece being lighting. If you note in the memo, we still have multiple fixtures that are out. Those fixtures that company is no longer in business. Those fixtures are no longer available. They had a 1-year warranty when they were installed. Tonight, you'll see that we have roughly a $60,000 additional cost to get the bridge back up in full operation, have all of those lights or fixtures replaced, and have a few extras going forward. To do that, we need, as I said, $60,000. And 2 weeks ago, we met, a group of us met to sit down and review the project, where we are today, and how we might fund that. MPW suggested that $20,000 could be taken from their next fiscal year budget, which begins in October. That left about $40,000. If you recall, the city had a $70,000 revolving loan fund, or $70,000 contribution to the chamber to backfill the revolving loan fund and ultimately provide a $140,000 match to the Bandag DED grant for jobs. As you may recall, that grant was not, or Bandag chose not to apply for that grant. So we have $70,000 in TIF funding that we will not be utilizing for that project. And we could tap $40,000 of that to meet the $60,000 needed to complete the bridge repairs. It's an eligible expense. It's certainly our recommendation that we do that to complete the project, get it done in the short term, and get the bridge back up and running. Majority, if you may recall, of this project was actually funded by Musco to get this done. They've certainly put a lot of time and effort into it. It's become really an attraction for Muscatine. A lot of people come to take a look at the bridge, to watch it, specifically come here for that reason. But of course, it's a great addition to the city of Muscatine. That's it in a quick rundown of where we are to date. But I would certainly offer that there are representatives from local business community here that can certainly answer any questions from the committee that met a couple weeks ago, or if you have any specific engineering questions for Musco, Jim Burns is here tonight and can certainly answer those questions regarding his memo.
What other options for funding do we have?
We could look for outside funding, whether that be grants or local donations. Part of our discussion a couple weeks ago, and I think it's something that we can look towards in the future, is finding a mechanism to support the bridge going forward. In addition to the funds that MPW budgets on an annual basis for upkeep and maintenance, but something more permanent, whether that is utilizing Leadership Muscatine or another group locally to try and raise funds for the long term for bridge, whether that's, buying additional fixtures in the future or whatever it might be, but long-term support of the bridge could be done from a donation basis. And I think that's probably, at least in my opinion, better that we look at that going forward, get the bridge back in operation now and utilize TIF, at least from my perspective.
I have a problem with using TIF money for this, just because the money that we allocated earlier for the grant, the match for the grant, was specifically for saving over 100 jobs. Now, obviously, as you said, that didn't happen.
Right.
But again, that's economic development money that we said, we're going to put this towards saving those 100 and some jobs. I don't think you can make that argument for the bridge. And I would prefer we keep that money for projects that may come up in the future that are going to create jobs and look for another source of funding for that $40,000.
Right.
And that's
Well-
why I ask what our options are.
You could bond for it, but again, that's going to affect debt service, and I certainly wouldn't support that for this project. We've got the funds, they're there, and would recommend that we utilize TIF over bonding in this case. I think it is, I think there's a strong economic development argument to be made for it, not only economic development, but tourism argument that can be made for it as well. And, we've had a lot of questions. When are the bridge lights going to be fixed? When are they up and running? What's going on? Can we get those done? We get people coming in from outside of the city, outside of the county, coming to look specifically at that bridge, coming here to Muscatine for that reason. I think there's a pretty strong economic development or tourism argument that can be made for it as well. So I guess hotel motel funds could be made available, but there's no excess hotel motel funds this year to get that done. TIF is available, could be utilized. Questions?
Greg, I got several questions. In the very beginning, Leadership Muscatine was the founding force to move this project on from beginning to completion. It took them several years to do that. Who actually did the design work for this, for the
It was a volunteer project all around, really, and the design work was done by Stanley Engineering in conjunction. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't know if Musco did any design work on the project.
Stanley Consultants did the electrical design as well as the structural attachment design, and then Musco provided our
Would you not say that the design work is possibly the wrong design because of what they found with the conduits being pulled apart, didn't have any expansion in it? And I also kind of want to know who actually did the electrical work, the conduit work.
That was a local contractor, I think
Yes, it
Nelson,
was.
wasn't it Nelson Electric?
Yep. Nelson
Should they
Electric.
also not be maybe
Well-
saying that that's, what they did is
couple.
their fault, not ours?
I guess a couple items. One, it was all done on a volunteer basis at the time. Stanley's contributed their time and efforts. It was all volunteer. Of course, the project was let or bid, and the work that was done subsequent to that was paid for. Subsequent to that, Nelson was the local contractor. That work has been completed and updated. Musco has done that with their time and staff and has put that back to where it is. The only thing that's left at this point in time is the fixtures themselves that need replacing, the lights.
Also, as just of one final question, the maintenance, after everything was put together and was released, it was functional, works great. I mean, you really had a great light show. MPW, did they not agree to do the maintenance work from that point on?
MPW has been responsible for the ongoing maintenance. Obviously, this is became a much larger issue than simple ongoing maintenance. And they have agreed to utilize $20,000 from their next budget towards the
Okay.
project as well.
I kind of feel that it should not be on our shoulders. If Stanley Consultants did the design work, maybe they need to float a few dollars towards a kitty. How about Nelson Electric that did the work that they probably should be floating a few dollars their way? And maybe MPW pick up the balance, since they agreed to do the maintenance. City of Muscatine doing zero.
I guess two items, I guess, or responses. At this point in time, we don't have the ability, from a contract perspective, to go back on the contractor. From a bond, the bond was what, a year, 1 year, I believe. The bond was good for, and obviously this was several years back at this point in time. We don't have the ability to go back on them from a legal perspective at this point in time, at least the local contractor. Part two was, I apologize, I forgot part two of the question.
Well, after all the contractors, Stanley, Nelson Electric, then MPW is coming in to do the final yearly maintenance of some sort to the electrical end of it, maybe replacing a few bulbs, maybe
Right.
fixing some conduit.
And that's really what it was intended to be, was minor annual maintenance, not.
Sounds like it's a heck of a mess.
It was. It
And
was.
it's thrown onto our shoulders, and it's simply not proper.
I guess, from an overall project perspective, this is a small part of the cost. The majority of the overall cost was borne frankly, by Musco. Musco donated the cost to get this project done. The city put in a total of $10,000 to date on the project. The remaining $250,000 plus was a donation.
I am also not in favor of giving money to a project that maybe, yes, it's Muscatine, yes, we're the city of Muscatine, but we don't want to be giving money every year, time after time, and I certainly don't want to bond for it. I'm certainly not in favor of giving any money.
All right.
Yes.
May I?
Councilman?
All right.
Yes.
I will start with to the respect of my fellow council member, Councilman Roulette and Bynum here. I respect your opinions here. However, I do disagree. I'm in favor of lighting the bridge. Number one, this is the only bridge on the Mississippi that it's going to be lit. That's number one. Number two, I will be short if we didn't recognize the additional labor and materials that will be donated from Musco Lighting, and for that we say thank you to them. What happened in the past happened in the past, and unfortunately companies went out of business. We cannot replace it. We need to focus on the future and what the future is going to bring to us. The questions that I have here, after investing the $40,000 from the city here, what kind of maintenance that we need to budget on yearly basis to maintain the bridge lighting? That's number one. Is there a cost that we need to calculate in our budget on yearly basis